One of the conversations that we had in prepping for today was talking about the whole idea of workforce planning. And especially in given market conditions, right? So, I mean, as the world has definitely changed these past few months with all of these different crises that have been happening, one of the things that we have found is that organizations, number one, didn't necessarily know who their essential workforce was. And number two, not necessarily sure as we've had to pivot business models, operating models, service and product delivery models, like exactly who are the people that we need in order to be able to move the business forward in this new environment. So can you tell us a little bit about your perspective on that whole idea of skills and people and workforce planning? And I want to make sure early in this conversation that people know that your lens has very much been focused on both internal to the organization whom you work for, as well as providing these tools and these lenses towards helping clients as well. So you've had exposure to a number of different types of organizations in a bunch of different industries. So tell us about workforce planning and about people and skills and how that kind of plays together and where we're at in today's environment.
Definitely, Trish. I think that's a great question. And as you mentioned, yes, so I work for a very large organization and I also work with a lot of customers who are facing similar challenges, right? So in order to understand the talent that you have, you need to have that pulse of your talent, right? So the way I look at it is, again, as I said, keeping skills at the center. So there are three steps, very simple, the way I want to explain it. You must understand the skills that you have. You also then should understand the skills that you need in future, right? In order to reach your business objectives, achieve your business strategy and all that. And once you understand what you have, you know what you need in future, then you should take steps to close that skills gap, right? And develop the skills for future. So this is a simple 3-step process, but I would put 3 different lenses on this process or 3 steps. One is the individual lens, which is from an individual employee perspective. What skills do I have? What skills do I need in future? And how do I close that gap? The second lens is the teams or groups. Again, the same 3 questions: understand the skills that you have, what you need, and how do you close that gap? And the third lens is the macro lens, which is, so from micro, now we are moving to macro. At an aggregate level, what are the skills that we have in the organization? Are these aligned to the business objectives that we want to achieve? And what are the skills that we need in future? And that will be aligned to your business strategy and the objectives. And then at an aggregate level, how you can manage your workforce in order to nudge them towards the skills that you need in future, right? So that's the strategic workforce planning perspective. And when I think about the strategic workforce planning, I would, have those traditional 7 B's in place. So you can have your strategies, which is talent acquisition. So you can buy skills from outside, right? That is recruitment. You can also borrow skills from outside. So that is, hiring contingent workers. You can also bind the skills that you already have. You can build the skills, which is talent development, right? Developing the skills in-house. You can also bounce the skills. So the skills that you don't need, make those exits. But at the same time, now I would add the bots also in the equation. So it is not only human resources, but also the bots, which you can achieve through robotic process automation and AI, and put that into your spectrum, when you're thinking about the workforce. So that's the digital workforce also comes into the picture. So that is the way I look at, the overall strategic workforce planning. And if you can look at all these aspects, we can talk about the strategies in which you can actually create a agile workforce, which is able to address the business challenges, which keep on coming to you in this VUCA world, as I, like to say that.
Absolutely, that right. In this VUCA world, as it continues to evolve, and it has gotten VUCA for sure. There's no doubt about
Yes.
that. And so, traditionally, from a talent standpoint, so let me see if I can just repeat some of that back to you again. So we have kind of the life cycle of an employee, if you will, from the time that someone gets recruited and hired and joins the organization to the time that somebody exits the organization through a number of different means of attrition. So we've got in the beginning is the talent acquisition or the recruiting process. In the middle, we have the talent development process. So we think about talent development as what are the skills that people need in order to be able to do their current job better today? What are the skills and capabilities that people need to develop over a period of time to be able to do a future job better? Or when it is that an organization has to pivot, how do we upskill or reskill or new skill a workforce in order to be able to move in a particular, to enable the organization in a particular direction? And we know that those first two pieces, the talent recruiting, the talent acquisition, and talent development play into that end game, which is oftentimes retention, right? How do we keep some of our best people, right, that have the organizational knowledge and the skills and the capabilities that we need? And so if I'm following you correctly in this conversation, you look at that as not only a continuum, but a continuum that is enabled by data, and not only data about and for the humans, but then also some of these synthetic entities that we have that are joining our workforce as well.